today I would like to define the meanings to the word predator versus prey and how it applies to what we teach with your dogs. So predator movement, picture with me a lion stalking its prey. It's moving in, it's taking space, it's the one in charge. So that's predator movement, taking space, being in charge of that space. Prey movement, on the other hand, if you want to picture a bunny that's frozen in the field because there's a hawk flying above and it's worried about being seen. So being frozen is a prey response or prey movement. And the secondary response, what happens when the bunny knows it's been seen? It runs away. It yields space. So yielding space or being frozen in space is a prey response. Your dog is a predator and they understand innately the giving and the taking of space and what that means. So when you're in relationship with your dog and you're communicating with your dog, you may be giving unintentional signals of you being prey-like or yielding to your dog, which would then give them the idea or the perception that they're in charge or being asked to, or they are capable of being in control and taking charge of that space. So I want to give a couple of practical examples of what this looks like, because this can happen as an expression of movement on a grand scale or a microscopic scale. So let's start with a big example that most people are familiar with. Let's say you come home from work, you open up the door, and your dog comes running over to greet you because they're so excited you're home and they jump on you. So in that moment, in that scenario, your dog is moving in predator movement. They're moving into your space, they're taking your space, they're the ones in charge. Now, how you respond will communicate back to your dog whether that's true or not. So most people who want to fix that problem of, I don't like that my dog jumps on me when I come home from work or get the groceries or whatever it is. So if they Google how to get my dog to stop from jumping up on me, one of the most popular responses is ignore your dog until they're calm. Then that's when you give them the attention to reward them for their calmness. But with my physical communication, my body language, what am I saying when I just stand there and ignore my dog while they're jumping around? I'm the frozen bunny in the field, right? So I'm frozen in place. That is a prey response, and your dog reads it as such. So what's another option? Well, Google will also tell you that you could try turning your back to the dog to let them know you don't like that they're jumping on you. But what happens when I turn my back? I'm yielding space. So once again, I'm the bunny, only I'm retreating this time. So if we back up or we turn around, we're saying, well, I'm prey-like, I don't like that you're doing that, but my body is actually inviting in more of that. So it's really important to be aware of when we're taking space and when we're yielding space. So instead, as your dog rushes over to jump on you, the ideal response would be you to move in, you to take more space. You become the predator in that moment. You become in charge of taking that space until your dog yields space to you, and now they're in prey movement and you're in predator movement. Your dog will understand innately that that's what that means. So give it a try sometime and see how that goes. Sometimes the first few times you try this, your dog may not be convinced because you have a history of not being in charge of your space. So they might make you work for it a little bit. But if you follow through until your dog accepts that and yields in prey movement, then you will start reshaping the expectation for that interaction. So now let's switch to a micro expression of predator-prey movement. One example might be, I've experienced this a few times where I've observed, let's say there's a strange dog on leash approaching and they look a little bit aggressive. They might be barking at you or something like that. And you're a little uncertain and you stand there and you kind of shift backwards just an inch. That dog just read that and understands that that is based out of you being nervous or uncertain or maybe fearful, and that you're responding as prey, which puts them in a stronger position of being the predator. Versus if you were to maybe take some space or be confident in your space, that's a very different response. A different example and kind of a day-to-day would be, let's say you want to go play fetch with your dog in the backyard. So you grab the ball, your dog loves the ball, and you're holding it, and your dog is jumping for it and trying to mouth at it and really excited about that ball. So what do? You hide it behind your back, or you hold it above your head to prevent them from getting it, going, hey, not right now, not yet. But what did you just do with your hand and the ball? You yielded space, you moved away, which is a prey response. So this is more of that micro movement of, well, my whole body didn't back up, but your hand did. So your dog is still going to read that as a prey response, versus if you at least keep the ball in that space, that location in space, and you take space from them, you back them off. Now you are in predator movement, asking them to respond in prey movement, and they'll yield that space to you. Again, you may have to follow through a little bit if they're overly stimulated and excited, and or they're not used to you communicating this way. They're used to you not being aware of this. So the first few times you try it, you're really gonna have to follow through on that and show them that I know now that I get to take this space, and if I follow through, you will yield to me. So be aware of big movements. Am I moving my whole body away? Am I going, oh, well, my dog wants to be here, I'll get up and move over here instead. I just yielded that space. Oh, well, instead of my dog grabbing the ball or the food out of my hand, I'll just move it away. Yielding space. Once again, your dog is in charge. So really start looking for, how does this express itself in your day-to-day routine? And what do you notice in moments when you may be inadvertently responding like prey and yielding to your dog, or catering to your dog in that way, which is communicating to your dog that they are in charge, or they can take that space, that they're entitled to take that space. So pay attention to that and start changing your response to being more in charge of your own space and being that predator and taking space. Doesn't have to be done with a big alpha attitude and mentality. You don't have to bully your dog. You're simply saying, no, I'm taking this space. I'm in charge of my space. I'm asking you to move out, and I will follow through until you do. So it can be done very calmly and assertively. And that's what I want you guys to practice. So predator versus prey movement, it's happening constantly around you. Whether you realize it or not, your dogs are noticing it. Your dogs will study you. They have been, they will continue to. They study each other. They study everything in the environment regarding movement and positions. So start looking for it, and you might be surprised at how much you notice. So predator movement, moving in and taking space, you're the one in charge. Prey movement, freezing or yielding space, you're not the one in charge in that scenario. Hopefully this helps. If you have any questions, let me know.